Hello students. In this center, you will be reading the poem Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout. It's a really fun poem, and while you're reading it, I want you to notice the bolded words and think about, well, why did Mrs. Lee bold those words? I want you to think about, while you're reading, what rhyme pattern do we have? Also, do you notice any internal rhyme? In other words, does the poem rhyme inside some of the lines? I will begin reading and I will stop at certain points and model my thinking. Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd wash the dishes and scrub the pans, cook the yams and spice the hams. Okay, well definitely we notice that garbage is not what Sarah wants to do. However, when I'm noticing the rhyme pattern, I notice that the words or the lines are rhyming every 2 lines. So in other words, out and stout, pans and hams rhyme together. So I'm noticing that. So pay attention again to the rhyme pattern. I'm going to start over again from the beginning. Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd wash the dishes and scrub the pans, cook the yams and spice the hams. And though her parents would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. Wow, I would think she would need some kind of discipline action for this. And so it piled up to the ceiling, coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas and rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the cans, it covered the floor. It cracked the windows and blocked the door with bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peels, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crust and withered greens. Ooh, I like that word withered. Gives a great visual. Soggy beans and tangerines, crust of black burned buttered toast, grizzly bits of beefy roast. Now when I read that, again, I notice that it rhymes every line and then every 2 lines, and then with the next 2 lines, 3 and 4, it rhymes again. Also notice that the poet has used great imagery. I can see this massive amount of garbage looming across the room. I'm starting with the next column. The garbage rolled on down the halls. It raised the roof, it broke the walls. I mean greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, blobs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from old bologna, rubbery bubbery macaroni, peanut butter, caked in dry, curdled milk, and crust of pie, rotting melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, ugh, cold French fries and rancid meat. Rancid meat's rotten, but again we're getting a great visual from this word. Yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that finally it touched the sky, and none of her friends would come to play, and all of her neighbors moved away. And finally Sarah, Cynthia Stout, said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state. Now, do you really think garbage can get that terribly out of control? I would think the city government would do something about that. I'm going to start again with that that last column. But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state, from New York to the Golden Gate, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out. Okay, so the poet gave you a warning at the end. What type of tale would you classify this poem, Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout? You can reread this multiple times to help you with the activity.